Welcome back to the county seat. We have now been in the nuclear age for about 100 years since Madame Curie first discovered that uranium would actually have a reaction that a Geiger counter could read. Since then, it has become what's fueled our X-rays, our nuclear power plants, even the little glowy things on the watch dial that we wear on our wrist. But currently, we are importing most of the uranium that comes into this country, and yet we have one of the vast supplies of uranium right here in the state of Utah. It's very high-grade uranium. So what's the problem with getting it out of the ground here? With the answer to that question, here's Malia Bascom.
It might not look like much more than sagebrush and some rocks, but 1,200 feet below me is some of the highest grade uranium in the entire country.
North of the Colorado River to the Utah-Arizona border is a place known as the Arizona Strip. Uranium mining has been a fairly consistent industry in the area from the early 40s until the 1990s, when the dismantling of nuclear weapons created a surplus and halted the demand for uranium ore, but not uranium. The primary consumers of uranium are the 104 nuclear power plants in the United States.
The U.S. gets about 20% of its electric power generated by nuclear power plants.
To fuel that 20% of our national power, we have to import nearly 90% of the uranium from other countries, which creates a negative trade balance for the U.S. But Harold Roberts of Denison Mines says that that's not all.
The U.S. again is a big consumer of uranium because of the number of power plants we have. The more of the uranium that we can produce domestically, the less dependent we are on potentially hostile, outside governments. So, although most of the uranium in the world comes from friendly sources, there are a lot that's being produced in other countries that may in the future not be necessarily friendly to the United States.
That's why a proposal made by the Secretary of the Interior, Ken Salazar, to withdraw uranium exploration and mining for the next 20 years has the mining industry, Utah counties, and Congressman Rob Bishop scratching their heads.
If we don't have uranium produced here, there are some that think, well, maybe that would slow down any kind of development of nuclear energy, which is one of the few clean forms of energy we can possibly use. And it also means, I don't think it's going to slow it down. All it means is we'll spend more money buying it overseas.
Over the past 50 years, mining has produced a number of high-paying jobs in rural counties to the south. And that's why Bruce Adams, Commissioner of San Juan County, is concerned with the proposed withdrawal.
If the industry is denied the applications or denied the ability to go in and mine, that the jobs will dry up in San Juan County.
And the impacts on southern Utah would be felt from St. George to Blanding.
The White Mesa Mill is probably the largest employer in the county. We look at this mill as being the crown jewel in San Juan County for private employers. The jobs that are generated through this extraction process are vital to our citizens.
It's a long-term issue for the mill because the mill is constantly looking for uranium sources, for ore sources to keep the mill full. And the Arizona Strip ores are very critical to our operations. We have the Arizona 1 mine that's running at this time, and we have several other mines that have been in standby development. So we need that continual feed of ore to the White Mesa Mill. So the potential withdrawal threatens the future supply of ore from the Arizona Strip.
Getting ore from the ground is much easier than getting consensus about whether to even pursue it. Coconino County in Arizona is worried that the mining will negatively affect tourism in their county. But Mojave County is in support of the project, along with the 3 Utah counties. For Scott Florence, the district manager of the Arizona Strip BLM office, managing these different points of view is far more difficult than actually collecting the science. His agency is charged with developing the environmental impact statement, and the list of stakeholders is a long one. The U.S. Forest Service, U.S. Geological Survey, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the National Park Service, 5 counties, 2 tribes, and at least 2 handfuls of state agencies. And all of them view the beast differently.
We're trying to weigh all these concerns in preparing the EIS.
All of this controversy and concern is about a very small amount of real estate. A typical uranium mine is about the same size as a Walmart parking lot. And with the short lives of the actual mining operation, the area can be reclaimed in about 10 years.
That these type of ore bodies are almost ideal for uranium production in that they're small size, they're contained to a very small area, the life cycle is short, the environmental impacts are very minimal.
This mine here, from the time it was first entered as an exploration target until reclamation was complete, was 8 years, and a very short duration for a mine. During that time, this 20-acre mine site produced enough energy to power the city of Phoenix for 20 years.
Another element of the debate on uranium that is often misunderstood is the issue of water. The Arizona Strip sites have ideal water characteristics for mining.
These are above the water table, and then we're here, and the river to the south of us has dropped the water table 1,000 feet below the level of the mining activity here. This prevents or eliminates the threat of contamination to the groundwater.
And finally, what about after the mine has run out? Well, because of the minimal surface disturbance in removing the mostly vertical veins of uranium, reclamation efforts are easy to complete and have been done with great success.
You didn't know there was a mine there. The average person, I don't think, could guess that there ever was.
The results of the environmental impact statement became available Friday, February 18th, and the BLM will be holding public meetings on the proposed withdrawal. But Scott Florence, the district manager of the Arizona Strip, wants to remind everyone involved that
it's most important that people submit written comments. That's the most important way they can get involved.
For the county seat, I'm Malia Bascom.
Thanks, Malia, for that report. That will be the topic of our roundtable discussion. We are joined with representatives from the BLM and a couple of the southern Utah counties, and we'll discuss this issue when we come back on the County Seat.
Discover your own treasures in King County.
Almost 45% of the oil produced in Utah, 7.8 million barrels, comes from Duchesne County. That oil feeds our state economy, provides job growth, and supports local business. Here in Duchesne County, we're working to make Utah an economic, cultural, and technological leader. Whether you're here for business or pleasure, Duchesne County will welcome you with open arms and invite you to explore all the beauty of the Uinta Mountains. Duchesne County, close enough for business, far enough to get away.
What do you picture when you hear Rich County, Utah? Winter adventure? Snowmobile action? Pristine skiing? Spectacular solitude? Well, if that isn't what first came to mind, then you just don't know Rich County. Snowmobiling Monte Cristo, ice fishing Bear Lake, skiing the backcountry. Come and find out what you never knew you were missing. Rich County, Utah.